I've gotten taller. Most Jewish stories take place in a shtetl, and this one does too. The shtetl was called Mattapan, and it's where I grew up. 40,000 Jews at its peak, dozens of synagogues, bowling alleys, drugstores with soda fountains, 2 movie theaters, 3 playgrounds, and in my case, a grandmother, a great aunt and uncle, 6 sets of aunts and uncles, and God knows how many cousins. It was an amazing time in an amazing place. But places and times change. When I was about 10 years old, I would walk around the neighborhood coming home from school, and there'd be signs on the lampposts and on trees saying, don't sell your house, neighborhood meeting. My neighborhood was changing. The Jews were making a very quick exodus to the promised lands of Newton and Canton and Randolph. And blacks were making their exodus out of Roxbury into Mattapan. I couldn't understand why. Later on, I learned there was a real reason. It's called redlining. It's a practice that Mattapan was actually a precedent-setting case against, where the government created all these incentives to justifiably increase black home ownership in the city. The bankers and the politicians loved this idea, but not in their neighborhoods, not in their parishes, not near their social clubs or any place like that. Where can we stick them? And they drew a red line around my house. Clearly, it's not just Cossacks who destroy a shell. Fast forward 30 years. Debbie and I are taking a leadership training program by the Anti-Defamation League. And the last session is going to Sunday services at a black church in Mattapan. I get the address, 1299 Blue Hill Avenue, Morning Star Baptist Church at that time. In a previous time, it was Schlossberg's Funeral Home. It's right down the street from where I live. We go in, and it's wild. It's loud, it's crazy. We're greeted by the Baptist version of sisterhood. Some very powerful older black women dressed in what looked like 1940s nurses' uniforms. And they're the ushers, and you don't mess with the ushers. And the ushers bring us to the front row. We have Debbie, so we have Reuben, who's like 4, and Nina's 2. Services start buzzing a little. And one of the ushers says, let me take care of this. And she grabs the car seat and brings Nina into the back row. The band starts playing. The choir starts singing. The tambourines start tambourining. The congregation's giving the hallelujahs and amens, and it is getting loud and wild. And Reuben is in a holy sensory overload. Get me out of here. So I take him outside. We're talking. And across the street is a little kind of like convenience store. Only it's like the neighborhood market. It's bigger than a convenience store, but smaller than a supermarket. I go, and I see it's open. I go, Reuben, come on, let's go across the street. I'll get you a candy bar. We go across the street. This is the store that I used to go to when I had to return bottles of milk, when we needed Le Sueur peas or Jolly Green Giant corn niblets. This was the place around the corner. And we go in, and the place is the same, only it's dustier and mustier. And instead of Yiddish, they're speaking something else. Spanish, I suspected they were Dominicans, but I've since learned that Mattapan has the largest Haitian community in Boston, so maybe it was Creole. Stick with Spanish for this story. And I'm like overwhelmed with this strange feeling. So Reuben picks out a candy bar. We go to pay, and the guy, who clearly, we're trying to greet each other, but we're not speaking the same language by any stretch, says, hold on, and he pulls out from behind the counter a little wooden barrel full of penny candies. It's the same wooden barrel that I pulled penny candies from when I was 10 years old. And I'm like floored. And I'm like wondering, is it part of the lease? If you're gonna have a store in this location, that if a little kid comes in and buys something, you gotta give him a penny candy out of this barrel? And the whole thing, I still think about it today. I think about how I wanted to tell the guys hanging out in the store what that barrel meant to me 30 years before. But I can't, because my world is in English and theirs is in Spanish or maybe Creole. I want to tell them something else. I want to tell them that the barrel doesn't give my son candy, it gives me hope. It gives me hope that despite differences in color, in religion, in neighborhoods, that there's a universal need for when a little kid comes into a store, no matter the color or background, you pull out a barrel and you give them a penny candy. And we all need that. We need that community. We need that sense of belonging, that sense of safety, and that candy. Make mine a root beer barrel.